There's a long history of movies where small characters are interacting with big characters, and as Alexander and I prepped the movie, we went back and looked at a lot of the work dating back to the 30s or even earlier to see how filmmakers in different eras solved these problems. And one of the things that I realized is that downsizing is a really unique story and a really unique use of these types of visual effects, and I really feel like we're reinventing the genre.
I told Jamie Price, visual effects czar extraordinaire, I want you to trick me into feeling that I'm making a movie without visual effects, so that I'm just focusing on the story and the characters.
It was interesting for me to figure out how we could use the visual effects, not just to tell the story, but also to add some humor.
Hey, everybody!
Hi!
Hope we're not intruding.
No, Dave. For people in our business, this is a different kind of movie. We're going for complete realism.
When you're not moving the camera around a lot and you're really studying the performances, the shots have to be that much better because there's nothing else to distract you.
In other films, you know, crash, crash, boom, boom, the shots go by quickly and you don't have a chance to linger on them and say, oh, well, that doesn't really look right, or that doesn't, you know, they're not designed to be contemplated. But this is a movie where we needed the visual effects to be very photorealistic and to look banal, so you don't even notice that they're visual effects, and that's been tricky.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
We had a whole variety of effects in downsizing. We had everything from huge CG environments for Leisureland to touch-up work like fixing Nyak's leg. The most challenging scenes for us in the movie were what we called the big small scenes, where we're mixing scale. We decided that a person who's 5'10" would downsize to 5 inches, and that works out to be exactly 1/14th scale. It's trick photography that's been done for a long time. You shoot one half at the normal distance, and then you shoot the other half, in our case the small people, from 14 times farther away. And when you put the two together, they look small compared to the normal sized people. You had to be very careful not to get yourself into trouble by shooting something on the big side that you couldn't recreate later on the small side because you might run out of space.
This is one of the biggest stage in North America, and we need it for scale.
For the scene where Paul signs his divorce papers, we knew that we were going to have some high angles that were from essentially the lawyer's POV. And when we shot the original shots of the lawyer at the table, we were very careful to measure the camera height so that when we shot Matt on the green screen stage, that we would be able to get the camera in the right place to make him be the appropriate scale.
Right now you're blocking your signature? Oh, so I wonder if you could come down a little bit.
Here.
Got it. Great. Here.
Even though we're using a lot of classic techniques, we're bringing some digital technology into the mix also. We were able to use 3D printing technology to make 5-inch tall doll stand-ins, and we're also using surveying equipment to precisely measure all of the camera positions relative to those dolls, and also relative to the full-size performers in the frame, so that we know their eye lines and the performers on the green screen stage can match them later. One of our most challenging scenes was the bus scene where Paul and Audrey are sitting across the aisle from the downsized mom and son.
How's that?
I see you're moving to Leisureland.
To make it look realistic, we needed to find some way to impart the motion of the bus to the small people. We decided to use a program motion base, which is a device that can move the set according to pre-programmed moves. And so, combined with the original photography, you see the box moving in sync as the bus is going down the road.
Oh yeah, I'm taking a nap back here. Here's Jamie Price, our VFX supervisor. You are sitting next. I'm right here. I'm reading the book next. Oh yeah, you guys not talking anymore. You've been there for 20 years.
When Dave and Carol are introduced to the people at High School Reunion, we knew that was going to be a really interesting scene, and there were a lot of different challenges. What we started with was a box with dolls. The reason we use the dolls is because they make good lighting reference, and they also give something for the camera operator and the focus puller to really focus on. So here you see a rough version of that green screen element overlaid over the original plate of the actor carrying the box. We chose to shoot the actors in the box live action. We photographed Andy carrying the travel box. We tracked that motion and then put that motion onto a motion base that matched the motion of the box.
Dave? That's Dave Johnson. And Carol.
There were a lot of different challenges associated with the conference scene, which is the first scene in the movie where we really introduce small people. One of the biggest challenges in that scene for us was when the cart of the original colonists is wheeled out onto the stage. We knew that we were never going to be able to use a motion base big enough to move that cart full of 38 people, so we decided to solve that by moving the camera towards a stationary set, which when you're done photographing it makes it look like the cart is moving toward the camera. So that's what we call a motion control shot. One of the other features of the downsizing process is that all of your hair has to be removed. So for Matt Damon's character, Paul, we put a bald cap on him and used visual effects to touch up any of the seams of the bald cap. And we had to have his eyebrows removed, and rather than ask him to do that, we offered to paint them out, and his eyelashes as well. Another interesting effect that we had a lot of different solutions for was Nyaklan's leg. Essentially, we were painting out the actress's real leg and replacing it with a digital version when necessary, but there were a number of cases where we were able to get the effect more or less in camera.
I wear a little boot that the special effects people created for me so that I don't articulate my foot very much when I walk. I met with an amputee consultant and I got to try on what they call an eye leg that sort of simulates for able-bodied people what it would feel like to lose a limb and have to walk on a prosthetic, and it's very difficult.
One of the most complicated shots involving Nyaklan's leg was when she removes her prosthetic leg and hands it to Paul. In order to achieve that effect, we fitted Hong with a rigid appliance that wrapped around her calf. And so as she lifted her leg, we painted out her real leg and then replaced with a CG prosthetic limb, and then that's what will be handed to Matt. Another fun sequence were all of the scenes that took place in Dushan's apartment. We found a great location. However, it was a house on the ground, and we needed to figure out how to make it look like it was 20 stories up in the air. So the answer was, basically, we surrounded the house with green screen, placed tracking markers on it, and then pretty much shot in any direction we wanted, knowing that we could recreate the views later. In the case of the shot where Conrad leads Paul out on the deck and shows him his boat, we had an actual location where the boat would be shot. So we were able to mark out on the green screen where the actors should look in order to be looking in the proper spot, and we're adding the actual yacht digitally. This was our background plate, as we like to call it, and then what you see in the background here is photography of an actual fjord in Norway, and then a lot of what you see is digital work. This is a look at some work in progress on the scene where Paul and Nyak and the other characters travel from port to the original colony. And what we wanted to showcase here was the beauty of nature, but seen from a vantage point that you could only see if you had downsized and were 5 inches high. And then we also get to see Paul seeing Nyak, seeing the beauty of nature as well. When you look at the difference between what we had in our practical shoot and what we've added, you see how much of the frame has been created digitally. And when people are watching the movie, I really want them to be involved with the characters and the spirit of the movie, and not so much thinking about the visual effects as visual effects, but thinking about the predicaments that the characters in the movie find themselves in as a result of what's happened, and just enjoying, hopefully, just the visual spectacle of the story that's being told.